So I have RA disease, which is rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease, which I've managed for now about 11 years. So cannabis has been a huge contributor to that journey, not just in terms of being able to have day-to-day function, but as well as my mental health and my spiritual space. But a year ago, on December 13th, I actually found out that I had breast cancer, which at the time was probably one of the worst experiences I would say I've ever had. But I didn't know how much I would gain in terms of not just knowledge about myself, but also more knowledge about the plant, how I could use it to manage my cancer and the cancer symptoms.
Welcome back, folks, to another amazing episode of the Bud Brunch podcast, where we are talking the grown woman's guide to cannabis.
Yes.
And it's Christmas.
Merry Christmas! Happy holidays!
Christmas, everybody.
All the things.
We're so happy that you are tuned in this holiday season to us, because we're just bringing the gift of womanhood and wellness.
On the Grown Woman's Guide to Cannabis.
Yes, and we love that for you guys, and we also love it for our special guest that we have today. We're so excited to talk to her because we are on the chapter of cannabis and chronic care. And I think that we all know somebody who maybe has had a chronic illness. I guess that would be it.
Yeah.
So like, if you guys know, or if you yourself have a chronic illness, go ahead and drop that in the comments on our YouTube, on Spotify, on this specific chapter. That is the Bud Brunch.
On everything.
And let us know, because I feel like there's so many different, like, I feel like every day it's a different name of a different chronic illness that
that's
people
coming out,
are like suffering and going through, and particularly as we age. Right?
And in America, the food,
Yes.
the pesticides, everything in our food, it's causing more and more illnesses. So,
and we did cover that in your chapter, because you had a caregiving chapter in the beginning. So we definitely know of your experience. You guys can run that back, because that is the first chapter in season 2, Cannabis and Caregiving. And that's again on YouTube and Spotify, the Bud Brunch.
on everything, y'all.
And go ahead and, kind of tune into her story and learn more about Ashley's journey with
My mom and my aunt being a caregiver,
for somebody who has had chronic illness. And I feel like a good word, since I am Grow with Lisa, your favorite home grower, a good cultivation word for today's chapter and episode would be the cure.
Okay.
So
tell me about it.
In cannabis, we cure our buds. That is the process after you harvest.
Okay.
You would put it in a temperature controlled area that's mostly in the dark. And that really helps to really bring out those terpene profiles. It really helps with the maturing of their THC.
Oh, wow.
And it just kind of really brings out the boldness and the flavor of it. And kind of like the longer you cure, it's almost like fine wine. The longer you cure it, the better it goes. And I feel like since we are hitting those demographics of, we're getting into our fine wine era.
We are.
Ladies. Again, that's when a lot of these chronic illnesses can kind of surface. And I feel like our next guest embodies the cure, because she's reached her harvest era and she's in this cure stage where she's just refining herself.
Yeah.
She's refining her business, and all while managing chronic illness. So I feel like that's a really great word to describe Queen Black of Dispense Throne, who's joining us today on the Bud Brunch.
I'm excited to talk to her and dive deeper into her story. She has an incredible story. But are you ready, buds?
Yes.
Pour up.
Roll up.
Let's talk.
Welcome to the show, Queen.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, we're so excited to have you here, because you have been through quite the journey. And this is not, a journey from years ago. This is actually a very recent journey with your chronic illness. And again, not the first chronic illness that you've had to deal with. So I feel like you are a great contributor to this chapter, to being a great example to women of what it looks like to be knowledgeable about what you're going through, and also what it look to the plant, for
For relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for your healing. So for those of you who are not familiar with Queen, can you just kind of give us a little bit of background and how it is that you're related to the cannabis space?
Well, I'd love to. So my cannabis journey started at this point 20 years ago, but it didn't manifest into what it is now until about 10 years ago. So I have RA disease, which is rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease, which I've managed for now about 11 years. So cannabis has been a huge contributor to that journey, not just in terms of being able to have day-to-day function, but as well as my mental health and my spiritual space. But a year ago, on December 13th, I actually found out that I had breast cancer, which at the time was probably one of the worst experiences I would say I've ever had. But I didn't know how much I would gain in terms of not just knowledge about myself, but also more knowledge about the plant, how I could use it to manage my cancer and the cancer symptoms. And in August, I became cancer-free, which was an excellent day for me as well.
Absolutely.
I actually just had finished my radiation treatment last month, so I'm thankfully in the survivor stage, but that doesn't mean that my cancer journey will end there. It'll just extend into taking the knowledge that I've gained and giving it to other women so that if they do come to this experience, they have like not just the knowledge but the education to make the choices that work for them. But in my regards, cancer was not just a lifesaver previous to my illness, but I do believe it did have a huge contributing factor to becoming cancer free. And I just would love to share not just my knowledge about that, but just letting people know that you're not alone in that. I haven't even reached my 40s yet. That'll be next year. And having to experience cancer this early in life was something that, despite not being prepared for, truthfully, the community of many women that have already experienced it lent me a lot of knowledge there as well. So, as I said, I'm so gracious not only to be here with these ladies of the Bud Brunch, but as well as just being able to speak to y'all today. So thank you so much for having me.
We're so happy to have you.
We're so honored to have you. And I actually met you about 10 years ago, as well as you were budding into the cannabis space with your products and services. And you actually brought something for us for What's in Your Glass today. So let's get into the products that you have and go into the reviews that we do here at the Bud Brunch, where we rate your products from 1 to 5 cheers based on the taste, the effects, and also other things like great packaging and all of that good stuff. So what are we sipping on today?
Well, I actually do a variety of different products in terms of just care for yourself with cannabis. So this can range from bath salts to sugars, honeys, teas like we're sipping on today, to body butters, just different things that you can use to manage your chronic illnesses, especially things that are like neuropathy, joint pains, anything that you're feeling in terms of needing topical relief. But today we're going to be sipping on some teas. So all of my teas are in some way African American, inspired by either music or the artists or albums.
That's quite unique.
So the set that we're sipping on today is actually a fall version. So this is the first time I've launched a fall one. So this is actually brand spanking new.
It's giving fall, because when I tasted it, I was like, wow. Well, not necessarily fall, but like a cold type of vibe. Not necessarily like full on winter, but it's definitely in the vibes, and it's definitely keeping us in the mood and spirit of the holidays.
So what makes this one the fall version?
So it has pumpkin pieces in it, caramel, cinnamon, just the things that you would think of in
There's
just
nutmeg in here?
Yes, and there is nutmeg in there. So just the things that you can imagine as far as just like the things you said in fall and winter times, like when you're just bundled up and you want to get comfortable on the couch.
Giving cozy.
The other flavors that I have as well that are displayed, I believe, if I recall correctly, one of them is the hibiscus one, so that's going to be definitely more Caribbean, Jamaican inspired. So if you're an islander, you probably would absolutely love that one. And then the other one is one of our signature ones, the Throne, which is a raspberry-based tea. That one is kind of a little inspired by my husband's taste, because I wanted to make a tea specifically that he would enjoy, because he is a tea connoisseur. I am more of a coffee connoisseur myself. But really the main thing for the teas is that they're easy to use because they're already in pre-packaged tea bags. So you just drop it into your hot water.
No loose tea.
Yes, I know that loose tea, especially if you are somebody that's disabled, it can be a little bit of a issue to manage. So definitely trying to keep things simple. And I think the most important thing about them is that not only can you just make 1 cup, but most of the tea bags you can make about like 4 cups out of. So if you're somebody
wow.
that is trying to discreetly medicate at your job, or possibly, going to the park or something, riding the bike, you can add cream to this as well as ice, so you can have it as an iced tea, just as Miss Lisa is enjoying.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to create a product that would be easy for people to use, but also something they've already seen before. So it's not, you don't have to be re-educated.
It's not foreign.
Yeah, you don't have to
Yeah.
be re-educated or feel like you have to know something about cannabis to be able to start with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that that's great, and I love the taste and the flavor. It definitely speaks, like I said, to the season. It has a cozy feeling, and even though I did add ice to mine, it as an iced tea, this is great. It's so delicious. It's packed with flavor, guys. Because that's one of the things with me and tea. Like, tea has always had such a subtle flavor to me, though I just don't really care for it. Because like, you have to kind of reach for the taste. You're not reaching for the taste or the
not
flavor
at all.
in this. It definitely, it pops, it jumps off of your tongue, and I absolutely love this. So what dosage are we looking at per tea bag?
So both the tea bags together are 250 milligrams. So you're just going to divide that in half, essentially. So I try to, when I make a pitcher, use 2 tea bags, and usually a pitcher can last me probably about like 2 days. So again, if you're somebody that wants to be able to pre-make it so that you can go do what you have to do or handle your business, you can do that as well. And also the main thing is the harmony of cannabis with the flavors. So with a lot of products, you get that overwhelming taste of, oh, this
Cannabis,
has some sort of cannabis that I can taste it, I can smell it. So it's about trying to not mask the taste, but about harmonizing the taste with terpenes and things that already exist in nature with us. So my main thing I wanted to do when I started the teas 5 years ago was trying to keep things locally. So everything in terms of the herbs and the fruits are collected locally. Everything is dried in-house as well. And they're curated in small batches. So that keeps it so we can have a consistency so that your first cup and your next cup can taste the same, and so that you can manage your symptoms if that is the main thing that you're looking for, which for a lot of people that is. We're busy, we're just trying to live our lives, and especially as a grown woman who probably has children, or you might have a business, you might have a business and children, you might be a caregiver and have a business, you may be somebody that is single but you're trying to start your business or your career. We're just trying to find different ways to be able to integrate healthy cannabis use and management into our day-to-day lives, so that it's about our self-care as well as having that chronic care, is that everything starts within. We cannot take care of ourselves or other people unless we are mentally and physically well. And we as Black women especially, we have the tend to leave our cup empty and fill the cup of others.
Girl, you better.
So
You
this gives us
better.
an opportunity to pour back into ourselves. So
We got
as I
Reverend
said, yes.
Pastor Queen over
Queen
here.
Black in the house.
Dropping
Sister Black.
nuggets. Yes.
As I said, we're just trying to take care of ourselves, and it starts with just being a grown woman and understanding what's important for you and about what kind of future you're trying to build. But
Yeah.
as I said, it starts within, and as I said, I'm so appreciative of being able to bring this product to you guys.
Yes, well, I absolutely enjoy it. And just like you said, because I really wasn't looking for the cannabis taste, but as you described it, it was the way that it's infused in here is just amazing. I think you guys can learn a little bit more about that when I give you my review of it on What's in Your Glass at the end of the episode. So we want to get into cannabis and chronic care.
Yes, ma'am.
But before we dive too deep into that, I feel like cannabis being something that is can be a part of a what do you call that when you treatment, can be a part of treatment for a cannabis. As you went through your journey, how was kind of like women leadership in the cannabis space, women leadership in the medical cannabis space? Like, how important is that to you? Like, was that something that was readily available where there were people that were in that medical part that were kind of allies to you in your cannabis use as part of your care? And if not, why do we need more of that? In a sense, of women leadership in cannabis, particularly when it comes to chronic care.
So I'll start with just having to be a female leader as being the second half of a business was a extreme challenge for me probably 7 years ago. The biggest thing I learned is that it's important to not be a bully to get your point across. Sometimes we as women, we are very strong and we're very assertive, but sometimes we do come off as bullies. And that's not the same as being an angry black woman. Those are two totally different things. But the thing is that we do bully our way into spaces because we are used to getting pushback. And sometimes that does not give us space to be a little bit more softer and understand that some people are brand new to the world too. So my original experience with coming into the space and especially having to have staff below me, I at first was very intimidated by the position because it is a male-dominated space and my business is male-dominated business. Me coming into that, it was very important to make the space very open and inviting for women because that is part of me. But also knowing that a lot of spaces do not create that space for women. In terms of the leadership, I feel like having women in leadership, especially in cannabis, is not only very important because I can't remember where the studies was from, but I think it said like about 70% of women that use cannabis are women of color, and that I think it said like 40 to 50% of them were black women. And as we know, in many different cultures, especially in Africa, cannabis has always been there. Cannabis is as old as many things that we think of as being as old as time. It has just grown and changed in so many ways as far as not just cultivation, but the different products that can be derived from cannabis, the different uses for it, but also bringing that back to the different positions in cannabis that women can have. So it's not always just about being a dispensary owner or even a cultivar. You can be an ancillary business. You could be in the psychological space. You could be in the more medical aspect of it. You could even be in the more clerical aspect of cannabis. There are so many positions that can be achieved in cannabis, and for women it is a lot harder for us to get into those spaces. Now the second issue is that we come with the stigma that comes with women being cannabis users, is that we tend to not be taken as seriously because of the fact that cannabis is not socially as accepted as it is becoming. Now, I hope that maybe in like 5 to 10 years, this conversation can swing back around and be a little different. But in the past 6 years, I would say it has changed a lot. Yeah. I've seen a lot more women that are dispensary owners. A lot of women being able to get degrees that are cannabis-based, such as our young lady over here. As well as being able to throw events that are cannabis based, or just being able to create a space for other cannabis users to be able to just create friendships, bonds, networking, all of those things. And as I said, when I first came into it, leadership was not a huge thing. One of our girls, Jay Mills, was one of probably the first people I had seen that were even involved in the cannabis space in a more professional aspect.
Yeah, shout out to Jay Mills.
Yes, shout out to Jay Mills. We love her.
Season 1, I believe she was episode 5 or 6. So run that back on the Bud Brunch.
On everything.
YouTube and Spotify and everything. But yeah, so for me, I was definitely on the other side of it and was more, I was not in the cannabis closet online, but definitely publicly and socially I was. So I spent a lot of time trying to protect that part of my life because at first I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. I didn't know I was going to enter the entrepreneurial space, or I didn't know that I was going to end up, learning how to do different technician and like concentration based applications within cannabis. But being around lots of women that were in that space cultivating and creating like just narratives that I could understand and resonate with encouraged me to want to be a leader in that space. But bringing female leadership, it creates diversity in opinions, but also diversity in the amount of things that you can be able to create. We're just still living in a day and age where women are coming into their own in those positions, but as I said, I'm thankful for the future. When I first started really doing the social media part, I had to deal with going to Facebook jail all the time, or getting my posts taken down because they were just about cannabis. Thankfully now we're starting to see that there's more open visibility on social media, and especially for adults 21 and up, as far as with cannabis. So as I said, I'm thankful that I'm becoming kind of a canna auntie now. Like, I'm starting to be able to
Auntie
bestow
stage.
my knowledge on the younger generation who can hopefully enter these spaces without fear. Hopefully can enter these spaces and take up the rooms that they're supposed to. And not expecting people to invite you to their table. Make your own goddamn table. Like, whatever you got to do. But get it done. And, like, that's part of being a grown woman is getting it done. It's getting it done, but it's also remembering to take your rest and take your time for you.
Yes.
But yes, women, leadership, absolutely. We always need it. We need it in every sector, but especially in cannabis.
Absolutely. Well, talking about creating your own tables, I feel like you definitely established your own lane, especially in particular to the Maryland market.
Yes, ma'am.
In the way that you decided to build your brand. But one of those parts of building your brand, but part of building your brand is also dealing with your chronic illness. How did your products, I guess, how did you have an illness and you producing these products? How did those two kind of go hand in hand?
Well, the first thing that I would always approach was packaging. Most packaging is not feasible for people with not just chronic illnesses, but possibly chronic physical conditions. Like, we have invisible illnesses, but we also have people that were born with differing abilities. A lot of those things are not geared towards that. And then, like y'all were saying earlier, as we age, some of the things that we used to be able to do or open are not as easy as they used to be. So trying to, look at products as if I was myself always using them. So every product that I usually create comes out of a need, a thought, or a request of somebody that I know. Like, somebody said, hey, well, have you ever thought about making like bath products? I was like, okay, I'll make bath bombs, like that's cool. Like, another one was a topical. Like, my friend's daughter, she has sickle cell, so she goes through crises. So she still uses the body butters for if she's after a crisis, it helps her body rest, it helps her body be able to recharge, because at those moments she's not feeling the spasms. So I try to just think of it as if I had a loved one that had something, what would make things easier for them? Is it the ease of use that's easier for them? Is it easy to be able to read your product and see what's in it, see if those things agree with you? If terpenes are important to you, having terpene information available or at least on the packaging or a QR code. A lot of the products that I've created over time have, again, come out of need and necessity for not just myself and the people that I love. So I've always tried to approach all of the products like somebody I know or love is going to use them. And in some of those cases, like I said, there's suggestions. Some people are like, hey, have you ever thought of this? Have you ever thought of that? But there is usually about 4 of the months out of the year I try and just spend on just research and development of trying to figure out different new products I can make. What are the thresholds of it? What kind of medication delivery is it going to provide, or dosaging is it going to provide? And really, how easy is it to be recreated? Can I be able to make a consistent product? My main thing is that, my main thing is it's not about just trying to make a product, give it to somebody, them enjoy it the one time, and then come back, get the same product, and it be entirely different, or it didn't work the same, or it didn't provide the same relief, or the relief wasn't as wrong. That was the hardest thing, I think, for me in the first few years, was being able to take the criticism and learn from it and grow from it. Because social media can create this idea that everybody loves you, dotes on you, but a lot of times people don't see, like, the negativity.
Yeah.
And some of the negativity can be warranted. Like, sometimes maybe you didn't make a product that was as good as the last one. Well, that's on me. That's not on the person that used it.
Is that negative or constructive? 'Cause
I consider it is definitely constructive. It is constructive.
Take offense to construction rather than,
And that goes back to your leadership as well, is I had to go through that phase of understanding that everything I thought wasn't right, or maybe that there were things I needed to research more on because maybe I didn't know that. So that does come back to what you were just saying, is that we may take them as negative because it sounds negative, but ultimately that criticism is constructive. They usually are things that maybe we lapsed on, maybe things that we didn't think of ahead of time, or maybe things that we just didn't put into consideration. And that doesn't make you a bad person. That is part of entrepreneurship and leadership, is learning from your mistakes and also taking those mistakes and owning them. So it's just not about running from them. Like, everybody has done stuff in their life, or possibly have, like, done things or even created things that didn't turn out how they wanted them to turn out. Like I've definitely I've made a few cakes that probably weren't as attractive as they could have been, or maybe I've made like a cookies and maybe the dosages were off. Like, so again, it's about, if you're building a brand, you got to be consistent. So you got to make sure you're always following your dosages, make sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing. But also again, remembering that this is a product that someone is going to be enjoying and consuming. You want to be able to be putting your first foot forward, because sometimes that's your first impression. And you only get one time to first impression.
Yeah. So when you talked about the different products that you made, you talked about like the different delivery methods of this product. How people consume that, especially if they have chronic illness like, sickle cell or any other chronic illnesses, how they consume matters? Because you said the topical for somebody who had sickle cell, but that's not necessarily going to work for somebody who has cancer. Other types of. So
that's actually a great way that you loop that around. So like if someone's a quadriplegic, what are they going to get from a topical on their legs if their legs don't work? Right. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't help them. Mm-hmm. So like some people, when I was in chemotherapy, they were dealing with there was one person that had stomach cancer. So for him, he could not get ingestible products. It was not feasible. So for him, it was like, hey, well, can we possibly do drops, sublingual drops, so that they don't have to be going to your stomach for you to get the same medication. Mm-hmm. Topicals were very useful in his case. So if we have somebody that can only consume things, like they can't smoke, well, then that's situations where the teas really come in handy. Like if they have limited lung function, being able to use any sort of ingestible medication in their case probably would extremely benefit them. It's very important just to have so many different options and delivery methods for people. Another thing is capsules that I make. So some people are vegan, so I can't give them gelatin capsules. I have to get different capsules for them. Whereas some people, they would prefer not to have the vegan capsules. So sometimes it's a little overwhelming, but just remembering that there's a myriad of different people that are going to use your products is something to keep in mind. Is that, like you mentioned, there are different conditions that require different things, or different conditions that limit the ways that they can consume it. So,
I love that your line is very patient-centered. Mm-hmm. Is that because you've gone through your own journey?
Absolutely.
With your chronic illness?
A patient first. Like it's always patient first. It's plants over profits. All those things are very important. And my other thing was making a baseline of like a product that people could afford. Going into dispensaries for a lot of people over many years, especially before this market has changed, is not financially feasible for them. Insurance does not cover their cannabis medication. So a lot of people are paying out of pocket, or they're paying with their disability, or they're paying with a stipend maybe that they're getting. So they need a lot of medication management and a limited amount of funds to do it. So that's the other thing with the teas. It's about being able to stretch your medication, about to be able to get the most out of it. Yeah. Because you might need this for the month. That's all you allotted for. RSO is a major thing for me. So every year I give out about 3 RSOs to patients that usually have a chronic or permanent illness, because RSO not only helped me in my cancer journey, but it also helped me in my management of my RA symptoms.
Now, for those who don't know what RSO is, so can you just really, I know
absolutely.
It can be a lot, but
we can simplify it. So RSO itself is just an abbreviation of Rick Simpson oil. Rick Simpson was a man that had melanoma. He used the concentrate to treat his illness. RSO is really like, if you want to think of, if you look at a cart versus RSO is very dark, and a carts usually tend to range from like amber to very light. Mm-hmm. That's because you're getting everything in the cannabis plant. So like we're keeping the stems, we're keeping everything in it to get all of the properties from each little component. So it is rendered down. It's like an hour-long process. It usually takes me about 5 to 6 hours, and you can make very little from it because you're concentrating it all the way down.
Highly concentrated.
Yes, but the beauty of it being so highly concentrated is that it is excellent for not just pain management, but as I said, he used it for his cannabis treatment, and I myself used it for my cannabis treatment. Now, I don't want to say things in terms of, because I'm not a medical professional in terms of a doctor, but I did use RSO in terms of trying to shrink my tumor that I had. So my tumor was originally 1.4 centimeters, and I used RSO every day for 3 months until my actual breast surgery for the breast cancer. And when they took it out, it was only 8 centimeters. So that means that we had, I'm going to say, about a 0.3 difference of, that's terrible math. I don't know where I came up with that just now. But
it reduced the size, which is incredible.
It reduced the size. I know if my husband's seeing this right now, he's probably like, oh, that's terrible math. How embarrassing. But
I love that you say that, because there is actual scientific evidence that has come out.
That's my main thing, is that I don't want things to be anecdotal. I try to make sure that I document everything. So I've been very open my whole cancer journey about showing, my lab reports and stuff like that, so that I could compare and contrast, the things that I knew I was using as medication management in different points of my journey, to see what worked, see what didn't work, see what, maybe it did, maybe it didn't, maybe we need to find out more data on that, and comparing it to publications. I'm very huge on medical journals.
No, there's data. There is data now.
Exactly. So,
preclinical data. It hasn't been done in human trials yet, but there's preclinical data that not only can cannabis help with the chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting,
yes, ma'am,
it's causing cancer cell apoptosis, which is cell death. And so now we actually have research to that. Not for all cancers. It's like breast cancer, prostate cancer, some brain cancers.
So it seems like
it's data now.
Yes.
It's proven
and
at this
that
point.
was actually in season 1, episode 1.
Yeah, I talked about it.
Medical Minute. So you guys can run that back to get more details.
Or hit me up on cannabisashley.com if
yes,
you want to learn more about it.
Yes, definitely ask for more questions about it, because even though I'm still in my point of my journey, I still am constantly learning. And especially because, as she said, there isn't one size fit all management for your illness, especially in terms of cancer. Mine is hormone receptive, so I've had to go through freezing my eggs. I'm in medical menopause. In chemotherapy, I lost my hair. I've had to go through a lot of changes in a short amount of time that I didn't expect to go through. And as I said earlier, is that cannabis also helped with the mental aspects of what I was dealing with. Because not just having a strong support system is so important, but it's also your mental health, because you will be going through hell. You'll be going through just a lot of not knowing yourself or seeing yourself as a different person at a point, because you don't recognize yourself. You do not look like how you used to look. Well, as with most things, they shall pass. But in the beginning, definitely cannabis was very important for those aspects, and especially for the mental health, but also, like you said, for symptom management, for the sickness during chemotherapy, especially for the anxieties of radiation. And radiation, I had to sit there for 20 minutes and have a beam shot at me in 2 different places. That is very anxious. And you have to
women?
Yes, ma'am.
For women that are dealing with a chronic illness, and you mentioned that you're going through all these changes, you need a support system, that are afraid to start a cannabis journey, what would you say to them?
You're grown. I know it sounds funny to say, because we stigmatize things. We worry about what our friends and family and people think about us. The most important thing I did was put that I have been in a dispensary lottery, and that my license was approved, I just wasn't chosen. It took me a while to get there. At first I felt very hurt that I didn't win. I was like, but how? I passed. I did everything that they told me to do. They said I was good enough. They said I had a good enough business plan. I just wasn't chosen. I had to get to a point where I started putting that in a resume, because that is worth bragging on.
Absolutely.
A lot of people can't say that. And I, for a while, I had to rethink, refocus, because sometimes it is a delay, not a denial. And just remembering that you belong in this space. This space is yours. You just have to take it. So it was a trip for me, because I was literally doing the cannabis lottery and going through all of that, and at the same time feeling like there was something wrong because I had a lump and my doctor couldn't explain it, and we just kept going back and forth about what it was or what it could be or what it wasn't going to be. So I was under so much stress. So it was literally a year of stress doing that whole licensing, because it was having to go to just they had these little classes you had to take, then you had to go to do your business plan, then you had to go like get your LLC, then you had to go get approval, then you had to do background checks. It was a long process, and the whole time I was stressed every day because I had put everything on the line for this. This is something that I've been essentially practicing for years, of this real moment. So all going through that, and then literally right after finding out that I didn't pass, it was probably like a few months later I would find out I had breast cancer. So it was like I didn't get a moment to breathe. Like I literally went from one extreme thing to another extreme thing. But with that experience, though, of having cancer, it taught me to slow the fuck down. Breathe, smell the roses, take that extra sip. If you are a little late on something, it's okay. Sometimes you got to just manage your mental health first, because then everything else falls apart.
I think that really relates to chapter
Sleep
2.
Insanity.
Yeah. Chapter 3 of the Real Women's Guide, where we spoke with Ebony Wheeler, who's a yoga practitioner, and she really talked about sleep insanity. Breathing was one of the very, very important things that she talked about in terms of helping balance your sanity. So yeah, definitely.
So basic, but like so.
Yeah, I mean, we learn it as kids, and then we forget about it as adults.
Yeah.
But it's all. Our breathing is so self-regulatory. It really helps not just our cortisol, which women, we have high cortisol levels, which tends to cause those comorbidities, like, Ashley was saying, is that, you can have one illness, but now you have 3 illnesses all from just this one illness, because you just didn't take the time to breathe and take a moment. And I probably would have went longer months without finding out it was cancer, because I was just moving all the time. I didn't have time to set this up. I didn't have time to do that. Oh, yeah, it's okay. I'll just get it. I'll find time.
Push it back, because everything else takes,
And then on December 13th, I was told I got to figure out something. That was when I was told it was stage 2. And I was like, oh, stage 2 is not too bad. And I had such, at the time, I'm like, oh, stage 2 is manageable. Well, then I got my breast surgery, and then they found out that it was actually stage 3. So I went from thinking that, oh, well, this is going to be something easy, manageable. I've seen this on TV. I'm just going to go to radiation, and I'm going to be good. I'm going to be back. No, not at all. It was not at all like that. Everything all of a sudden came at me very fast, because now I had to make an advance directive. I had to start thinking about, what if I do not survive this? What if it does end up metastasizing somewhere else?
And your mom too. So.
Yes, as well. I just deal with my mom having cancer, and she had breast cancer as well. My grandmother passed from breast cancer. So breast cancer was already something that I wanted to feel like I was knowledgeable about, but until it happens to you, you do not know everything it's going to entail. Another thing too, people think the cancer's over when the cancer's over. No, in some cases, especially if you're a woman with hormone positive cancers, I'm going to be on hormone medication for 10 years. So I still have 9 more years of treatment, essentially. So it doesn't end there.
And depending on the type of cancer, the recidivism rate is extremely high.
Exactly.
And you talked about metastasis. My aunt started with breast cancer, and then it got to her bones and every other organ system. So I'm glad that you slowed down, ma'am, and prioritized yourself, because it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, yourself and your health. Health is wealth. We make jokes and we make little corny sayings about it, but it really is.
It's real, and
you only get one. And I tell people is that I respect everybody's choices about themselves, but in terms of cosmetic surgery, I would have never had any sort of cosmetic surgery if I hadn't had breast cancer. But I had to, at that moment, not only decide what kind of breast surgery I was going to get, because either way I had to get one, but also having to learn how to look at myself again. Having to accept my scars, but also having to accept that this was necessary, and that this is from now on. Because I had a time period where I kind of would go back and start thinking well, what if I didn't do this, or what if I would have did that? And at the end of the day, I'm okay with my choice. I considered maybe going flat. I didn't. And if I do have a recurrence, that is the next step. But I decided, I wanted to just have a reconstruction and keep the breast tissue I had. I just really didn't want breast implants, and as I said, that's everybody else's journey. I have a family member that also has breast cancer right now. Hers is lobular and mine was ductal, so she had to have everything taken. So she opted to have implants, and I support her entirely all the way, because it's really about you and how you feel about you, and nobody can tell you what the right choices or journey is for you. So and I'm glad that my medical team is fantastic. They all advocated for me wonderfully. They let me know all of my options. Like my plastic surgeon that actually did the reconstruction, she did an excellent job. And as I told her then, like she mentioned how people forget that self-esteem is so important to you. And that is when you're going through something where you're already going to lose something that makes you feel less like a woman. Being able to feel comfortable with yourself is so important. That goes back to the mental health. But
which is connected to your physical, so you want to make sure your mental health is intact.
Everybody wants to just feel good. Like sometimes that might be a jacket or a shirt or like a bra that just makes you feel good. And having to redefine to yourself about what makes you a quote-unquote woman. Having to lose most of my breasts and then having to lose my ability to naturally have children was extreme as well. Like that was something I never expected. I'm very thankful that I was able to freeze my eggs. So I do have 5 eggs available, so I can be able to have children in 2 years once I stop my hormone treatment to get pregnant. Unfortunately, after that, I have to get back on hormone treatment. So that's why I said that I have to do the 10 years. So I get to have a little break, have a child, and then get right back on it because it's estrogen positive and we want to not have estrogen going on.
So it seems like chronic illness for you is kind of like a lifelong thing. It's something that you've always been dealing with and kind of always will deal with going through. But you also, I feel like people, when they see somebody like you who does use cannabis, they're just like, oh, cannabis is the end all be all, it's the savior. But you also do use like pharmaceutical medications as well.
Yes.
In tandem with your cannabis treatments.
And that is very important.
Yeah, like why is it important? Because I think a lot of people do think like, oh yeah, I just smoke cannabis every day and then I'm never gonna get cancer, or I'll never, get sick because I, take.
I think that there's such a huge misconception, and I really do want to demystify a lot of things. Is that I think a lot of people don't realize that some illnesses, some diseases were already in you. They were just dormant. Especially if you have certain genetic markers. It's very sad, but once you kind of accept that, you stop feeling like, so what was me about it? The BRCA gene, we know a lot about that in terms of that women with that gene can have 90% chance of breast cancer. So a lot of them have, they have prophylactic mastectomies. So they have them as a precursor to keeping themselves from getting cancer. That is an extreme thing to go through. I would not even know how to even start with that. So knowing things about not only just your particular disease, illness, etc., but also knowing about your genetic factors can definitely influence if you would need lifelong medication. Now, there are some people that can, there's certain people with glaucoma that can just use cannabis just to regulate their eye pressure. But there are some people that need medication as well as the cannabis. I have a family member that's like that. It's something where you have to kind of be, and I don't want to say realistic because that sounds very negative and pessimistic, but you
gotta follow the science. Cannabis is a medicine just like any other medication. It's very important to follow the science. Is that we live in the digital age. You can go probably find information out on something if you really want to. It's really just sometimes people don't want to do the work, or they just take the regurgitation from somebody else. So that's why I always tell people, don't go by everything I just said. Please go do the research. Go find out. Please go reinforce. Maybe you might find something else more that I didn't know yet. You know what I mean? Please, we need to make this an open source about information so that we can all share with each other, because that's how we all learn and how we can develop better products for the future. And also as well as figuring out what possibly can trigger some of these other illnesses that we've talked about. But as I said, with my RA disease, I do take biologics. So I do take a TNF blocker. So essentially what it does is that
it is trying to turn off my inflammation, because RA basically is like
inflammatory disease.
Yes. So basically what happens, so let's say I go hit my leg on the wall. If I'm not taking my medication properly, my leg will just blow up. It won't know when to turn off the inflammation. Now, it knows the inflammation is to protect me, but it'll just keep going, and that's where it causes problems. So like in my hands, like this hand is crooked because I just have advanced disease in this hand. This is my hand I use the most. So unfortunately, this was probably the first part that got targeted. Now, sometimes I have to remember to kind of straighten my hand out, but when I'm just casually, it's just like that. This one is fine. This finger, it does not go flat. It has about a joint damage from the RA disease. So
and that's where you were talking about the packaging, like the disparity in somebody's hand.
Exactly.
Making it easy for
somebody to open and use.
That. So basically you used yourself to be like, okay,
I tried to model myself after, like, if I was just somebody that just wanted to have a normal day at home and enjoy my products, what do I need? Now, I have a child, so it is important to have child packaging, but we have to also use common sense with that. Like, if you're going to be somebody as a child, then you probably want to package your cannabis away from them in general. Now, if you're somebody that has a chronic illness where it causes issues where you can't open something, then yes, you definitely need to be storing it somewhere else if you get packaging that is not childproof. But if you are somebody that doesn't have a child and everything is childproof, you're going to be pissed off because you're like, well, I can't even open this. Like, and I don't have a child. So I was like, nobody's going to eat this. Like, I need this. Right. I watched a video probably, like, I don't know, 5 years ago. This lady was literally hitting her packaging with a hammer, trying to get it open, and it still wasn't trying to open. Like, I think she ended up taking to a neighbor, and they, like, popped it. Like, it was like you had to squeeze the side, and she couldn't squeeze.
But that's something that the cannabis industry needs to think about also. Is like access to their product.
Accessibility. A lot of people who use
it are patients.
Yes, and it's just there can be a multitude of lanes of thinking when it comes to creating a product, and that this is why having that diversity in different leadership, especially women leadership, is important. Is we're creating products that people are going to consume. Like, I was thinking about the other day, was like, has anyone come with a tampon that like has like CBD in it yet?
They're working on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe, but the idea is so simple and easy to applicate. It's just about putting the time to it and just having like the place to build the product,
or
like
having people,
and having
women
in the funding.
Leadership
the
roles.
Funding is also the so extreme important part. I've decreased a lot of my presence over the years because at the end of the day we're all self-funded. So it's all about being able to not just be able to afford to have events or products, but also know that I can continue to do them. So that's where, again, those communities are important, is that when you see people in your community that are building and creating products, it's important to boost those people. Like, I know there's sometimes be jealousy, but my thing I've always understood is that a lot of people that get jealous of people aren't even interested in the same things that that person is interested in. It's like you could create your own lane doing something else. Like, everybody, there is enough pie for everybody to get a piece. You kind of just got to get in where you fit in. And then sometimes you got to establish first one brand to be able to branch off to do the brand that you really want. Like, there's no linear way to do any of it. You kind of just got to figure it as you go along. Like, as I said, I'm still huge in the entrepreneurial space, but in the past like 2 years, I've gone more to the science side again. So I've been going back to like, hey, I could still be a student, you know, and learning more about how things have changed as things have changed, because you can never not like know enough.
They're ever evolving.
Yeah,
research
like,
is coming out every day.
Evolving. Like she said,
Every
they're
day.
still finding out different cannabinoids. Like, and cannabinoids is something we've known about for like 60, 70 years, but we're still finding out about new ones, or how they
and what they can do.
Yes, how their relationships with each other, like how their relationship with the human body, their relationship with food. I remember when terpenes really, like, the education of that was so
limited.
It was so taboo and limited, and it was
nobody cared about terpenes.
And it blew my
10
mind
years
because
ago.
terpenes, I didn't realize was such a new word to people. But like, if you're somebody that cooks or something like that, you probably are very familiar with terpenes. You're somebody that gardens other like flowers in general. You probably are very familiar with terpenes. If you're somebody that eats food, you should be familiar with terpenes. You just probably just don't know that's what you're inhaling or ingesting. But terpenes are
everywhere.
Yes,
they're
like she said,
everywhere.
they're in everywhere and everything. And that the marriage of those things, like within cannabis, not just in strains, but like I said, with the teas, is making things be able to pop. If you have something that has lavender in it, well, using something with a linalool terpene will just make it pop. It's going to give it that extra punch. And then
I like that you guys do education too, because that's very much a big part of your brand. It's you're not.
Yes, that's really how we really started.
You are educating.
We really started more in just doing classes. I did a Cannabis 101. I did a Cannabis grow class. I did as well as a tea in Cannabis with Jay Mills. I've done there's so many ways that you can not just teach, but that you can learn within Cannabis, and ways that you can integrate it into things.
I think another great way that you did it was documenting your journey with your cancer. I think like documentation, it could be just as simple as that. And finding your platform to be able to share that information with
I'm
others,
sure there's so many people that don't
inform
ever
them.
comment.
Of course.
That probably have,
See
I
it
probably
and
changed their
learn.
life.
Yep.
I'll probably never know. But that's kind of okay. I've learned that you're not always going to get a pat on the back, and that you can't be doing it for that.
Right.
Like if you're doing it for that, you will be disappointed. You will always be disappointed because you'll always expect more, and that's the thing you got to understand, is that it's like you got to create that. Like it can't be always expecting that everybody's going to love you and think that everything you think is right. I get plenty of men who argue with me all the time online, like or saying, "Well, you can't blame." They'll always say you can't blame white men for how things are in cannabis. I'm like, well, I never said I blamed them. But I don't
the
believe
majority.
But I was saying, but they're not blameless.
Exactly.
Like at the end of the day, somebody is in charge.
Yeah.
Somebody decided to make the first, bills for cannabis. Somebody to help approve them. Like at the end of the day, it had to start with somebody on that side giving them a chance, saying, "Oh, okay, all right, y'all can try this out. We'll see how it goes." Like even with the DC market, hey, we'll see how the donating and gifting goes, and we'll go from there.
They saw how that went.
Yeah, it's like everybody, you got to just try stuff. But it all just starts with being able to understand that you belong there, like I was saying. And as I said, they'll argue with me all day and night, and I don't even worry about it anymore. Usually I just link them to an interview I've done. I'm like, well, here, I said this in this with Montel. Yeah. Or I said this over here in this article with Cash Color Cannabis. Like, I've
Did you hear that
mentioned
name
this
drop?
before. Yeah.
Did you hear the name drop? Montel Williams.
And that's also very important, too, is that there are so many other people in cannabis that have helped me get to where I am. The people that took the time to interview me, you guys, like it's just making space for each other so that
the Cash Color Cannabis.
Yes,
the first cannabis publications.
Absolutely,
for people of color.
Yes, that is our boy Makai over there. We love him. He is another cancer survivor as well. We love him. And as I said, it's just making those spaces for each other and making sure. Yeah, I want to make sure that my friends' names go into rooms they haven't been in yet. Yes, I want you to know I learned from that person. Yes, I want you to know that person. Hey, said, do you want to? I'm gonna DJ. Do you want to be at this event and teach people? Yeah. Sure, thank you. Olga Hall, like she is fantastic. She does a lot of.
She's also been on the show.
Yes,
done a National Cannabis Festival with us.
She's done so much activism as well as just using her position in healthcare to try and educate people, especially people with addictions. Again, that chronic care management. So as I said, it's just always important to just remember that each room is an opportunity to educate somebody. It's like I said earlier, I used to be afraid about telling people that I was in cannabis. Now I tell people all the time because I stand on my shit. I believe in me. I know that I look at my own resume, my cannabis specific resume, and I'm proud of what I see. And I know that was a lot of work to get there. That was a lot of having to go sometimes to be standing out in the cold to have one person come to something, or sometimes having an event where there's a whole room where people are outside because we don't got enough room for people. And as I said, it's about showing up for everyone. That's the main thing.
Thank you for showing up for us, though. Like we are so
absolutely. I'm glad you're able to make this time for me. As I said,
Absolutely.
we were trying to get it together. It was really me. Like my schedule is just dumb. And again, that's with the chronic illness and care thing. So sometimes
that happens. And to be able to share the story though is the most important part. And I feel like we'll get into the details of how people can find you, but you detailing your journey on social media was really impactful, and I'm sure that you've reached a lot of people.
That's how we met.
Yes, and we want to reach some more people with one of our favorite segments.
Yes, so it's time for Puff or Pass, where we give our guests the option between two different choices. And Queen, you have to tell us which one you're puffing on and which one you're passing to the left. Okay. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll make the first one easy. Puff or pass, flower or edibles?
Oh, see, like, I'm going to say flowers because sometimes even I can still go hit a pen or I can still go eat a cookie, but I still just enjoy the slow down moment of smoking. So yeah, flower.
All right, so you puffing on flower.
I'm puffing on flower. I'll pass the edibles.
I have one. Cultivating flower, because you are a home grower yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Or cultivating new products.
Oh. I would say cultivating new products, only because growing at home, I feel like is really for my own benefit and enjoyment, which that gives me life. But I still love getting messages from people about my products. Like, especially they'll be like, oh, you made this 2 years ago, and when are you going to bring that back? Like, that's this kind of stuff that, like, reminds me of, oh, I did matter, or this little small thing did impact somebody, and that they have a nostalgia for it. So, like, yeah, definitely going to have to go with,
cultivating products.
I'm going to go with cultivating product.
All right, puff or pass, solo sesh or group sesh?
See, I'm biased because I'm married.
Right, so you're never really smoking alone.
So I'm a solo session though. So I'm actually like, I'm going to go like, I'm actually really about my me time.
Okay.
So I do love the social aspects of smoking and everything, like, and I just love having conversation, but nothing is like sitting in the bathtub, just being able to smoke by yourself, just listening to music. Like that's,
and I feel like a lot of moms can relate to that too.
Yeah, because that's sometimes
you don't get a lot of time by yourself.
Sometimes your only time by yourself.
Yeah. All right, puff or pass, girls' night out or self-care day?
Hold on, y'all. Time out. I'm sorry. I've got a cough, and I need some water.
No, you're fine.
I was gonna sip that, but I was like, no, I need some water.
Oh.
She was like, I need a little bit more waters. All right, so girls' night out or self-care.
Hold on, we're gonna get back into it when she get over here.
Okay, I was like, oh.
Maybe I should have said date night or self-care day. Or do you still have girls' nights out?
Yeah, I still have girls' nights.
Okay. What, you got something in your
I'm
throat?
still a girl.
Yeah, she got dry. I was like, oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, plus we got like the light on us too. After a while, like you start I can't
a little
breathe.
dry.
All right. So say that, ask that, puff or pass again.
All right, puff or pass, girls' night out or self-care day?
Well, I'm gonna say girls' night out, and that's only because again, sometimes that's like the first time we're being able to like see each other in a minute. Like, especially like we say, you got a business, you got babies, you got pets, you got 5,000-7,000 other things. Not even to say if you got a spouse or a boyfriend or a side dude, whatever you living with, you got something going on. So sometimes that girls' night out is like the first time you see each other in like 6 months. So yeah, just sit and have a session in the car. Sometimes we don't even get to go nowhere. We just be in the car. That is
girls'
the night out.
Yes,
let's go night in the car.
All right, and one more, puff or pass, music while high or movies while high?
Music while high.
Music while high. And what are you listening to these days?
So I've been actually trying to get into what, like, I guess the current R&B. Okay. So I'd say Summer Walker is finally over it right now. I've been playing on like repeat, like especially Spend It. Oh, okay. Yes, that's my song right there. But I've also liked like Leon Thomas. He has a few songs off his album that are excellent. Like especially we've heard like Mutt like 70,000 times and still not got sick of it.
And I love it.
Yeah, still not got sick of it.
I can still listen to it.
But I've also been going back. I've been going back and listening to a lot of 70s and 80s. So like I've been listening to a lot of Bootsy Collins as well lately.
Come on, Bootsy.
You know, like I love stuff that's ethereal, but also like sexy, sensual.
But you're an artist yourself, so
yes, I
am. A pass for you. Writing like music lyrically, or writing the instrumentals, or kind of creating.
So composing versus lyrics.
Yes.
Lyrics. Because I feel like I get to put some of myself in it.
Okay.
So it's like I feel like it's an Easter egg. Like you getting to see a little bit of my brain.
Nice.
And I also think that writing music has always been very therapeutic for me.
Extremely.
Like when I was a teenager, I used to like write poetry and like charge people. So like they would I'd write poetry for like their girlfriends and boyfriends, and then they would like take the credit for it.
You've always been an entrepreneur.
Oh, always, like always trying to get a dollar. Absolutely, always trying to make sure. Especially I was trying to make $1 the right way. Like that's always been my thing. Is that I always try to make $1 the right way. So if I make a product, and I want to make sure I make a good product and run me my money. That's my thought.
Well, that was puff or pass, darling. Where there are no wrong answers, just real ones, and you definitely passed the vibe check. But let's get back into what's in your glass. Losia, how you feeling after that tea?
I feel a little too good, actually. I don't know if you guys saw me trying to hold myself up throughout this interview, because it was certain passages, like 30 minutes into it, I was like, oh.
It kicked in.
So that's the other part. Yeah, that's the other part that we like about the teas is that it's like sometimes
delayed onset.
And you can go get to where you need to go. You chilling, especially if you're being social. During my cannabis journey, I haven't been drinking, so using cannabis drinks has been a huge thing for me. Like, so again,
that's why kind of cocktails. We know a good can of cocktail.
Yes, ma'am. I know they do.
And to the point.
Yes, yes. Y'all definitely gave me. Didn't y'all give me a can of cocktail when I saw y'all at the pool party?
At the pool party.
Yes, yes.
And even though mine is only CBD infused, I feel very relaxed. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I could just chill on the couch right now, still be productive, but super relaxed.
Yeah,
Like,
just
my
put the
shoulders are
laptop on your
relaxed.
lap and just do a little
Yes.
tippity typing, but then go over to YouTube and watch like a quick little movie or something real quick.
And I
you
will
know.
say this, even though I added ice to mine, I know like somebody may like, oh no, adding ice may like dilute the potency
Flavor?
or
Oh,
anything like
okay.
that, but the flavor was still there, definitely the potency. And when we were talking about the taste, while those strong fall, wintry, cozy flavors were there, as you said, the weed is still there, but it's just so well infused
It's harmonious.
with what
Yes.
else that she
We
added
want
into
harmony.
there, that it's not off-putting, but you know it's definitely there. It just blends
It
so
works.
well. It works very, very well. You could definitely tell that this is a product that you took time with. You didn't just kind of throw it together and add weed to tea and be like, infused tea, everyone. Like, no,
I mean, as
this is
opposed
very,
to that's
very well
easy and
crafted.
stuff like that, you
Right.
could do that. It's about making something like, I mean, we're grown. Like, so that's why I still like to make a good brownie every now and then.
Right.
But sometimes you
Old
want to
school.
feel a little grown, like, and
Have
just
something a little bit mature.
Yes.
Something
Love
in your
tea.
cup.
Little
Yeah.
tea.
and
with
almost
Ashley.
everybody already has a familiarity with tea.
Right.
So like you can make it to your specifications. If you want honey, my husband prefers honey with it. It's like
Me
so
too.
we do
I'm a
infused
honey
honey.
girl.
Yeah, some people they prefer white sugar. Some people want brown sugar. Some people like raw sugar. Like it's all
can
just
make it to
about
your liking.
Yes, it's just about making
And
it
it's
to how
healthy.
you want it.
It's
Yes.
not a sugary gummy. It's not
It's
a
not
brownie.
an
So for
infused soda.
patients with
Though those are good.
diabetes, this is perfect for them.
Yes, and
It's
that's
perfect.
another thing too. Is that if you use Equal, you can do that. Splenda,
Yeah,
you
so
can do
easy
that.
to make. You literally just steep
You
the
refine
tea
it
bag
for
in the
you,
water
really.
In your
and
kettle
you
at home.
season it and flavor it whatever in whatever way that you want, and you just enjoy it. So I love the practicality, the packaging of it. I love the ease of use, and I'm obsessed with the taste.
So
Again,
on
super
a
obsessed.
scale of 1 to 5, how many cheers are you giving?
I've got to give this a 5. I wish I could give it more because again, this flavor was.
It is
I
so
was not
good.
expecting that.
It's so good.
I'm not a big tea person. I'm always like, oh, there's not enough flavor in this, there's not enough that. This was absolutely amazing. Just for flavor alone, it gets 5 cheers for me. So thank you so much
to that,
for
Queen.
sharing your product with us today.
No, thank you,
Queen.
Ashley and Lisa. Thank you both.
We've had an amazing time talking to you about cannabis and chronic care today. For those of us who are tuning in and want to learn more about DQ's Dispense Throne, DQ's Lifted Kitchen, and any other ongoing products that you have, where can they find you?
Well, I'm pretty much on all social media at Dispense Queen. But if you want to see really stuff with the Dispense Throne, that'd be at Dispense Throne on Instagram and Facebook. Oh, well, so not on Facebook because they like to get rid of us because we're a cannabis brand. But we're definitely on Instagram and very active with lots of pictures from many years of work. And DQ's Lifted Kitchen on all platforms as well. So as I said, those are my babies, besides my real baby. So I like to just put care into both of them. And I'm also on TikTok. So I really kind of got more into that. At first I wasn't on TikTok and I was very like, oh no, that's too young for me. But now I've gotten into it. I figured out how
Everybody's on TikTok.
Yeah, now I've figured out how to use it. Okay, so now you can't stop me. I'll be making stuff there all the time, content. Sometimes I just be doing skits. Okay, like just in terms of having to do with cannabis. Because what's good is life if you can't laugh at yourself or laugh at just the experience. But yeah, as I said, those are all the places you can find me, and also on LinkedIn as well. So you can see my resume as well on there. That one is just Queen Black, so you can find me on there as Queen Black.
Well, thank you again, Queen, for joining us today and really giving us some insight to this chapter of the Grown Woman's Guide to Cannabis, and that is cannabis and chronic care. We learned so much today, actually, about chronic care, and
I learned from you guys.
Your journey, like, you've always shared it, and I just appreciate you sharing it with our viewers because it's so relatable for so many women. So yeah,
and ladies, as you enter into this mature stage and age, let's just make sure that we are taking care of ourselves. I think one of the biggest takeaways from this episode is just knowing the signs, listening to your body, and getting to the doctor as soon as you can, and maybe even getting a second opinion when you don't feel like if you are being heard.
And screening.
That's important too.
Taking those screenings very seriously. I would not have been eligible for a mammogram until next year. So I would have had 2 more years of having cancer if I hadn't pushed my provider to do the mammogram.
Advocate for yourself.
Yes,
totally
advocate.
I know it's you'll hear it all the time, but that advocacy is so important. You got to speak up if things don't sound right. Yeah, like she said, second opinions matter. Sometimes that second opinion might keep you from having to go through something you didn't need to go through, or maybe make sure find something that you didn't know or somebody else missed. If you have insurance, make sure that you're using it to all your abilities. Absolutely use it to all your abilities if you can. But yeah, as it said, just screening is all very important. All those things, listening to yourself.
And thank you for listening to us, The Bud Brunch, bringing you guys season 2, The Grown Woman's Guide to Cannabis. I'm your co-host, Losia.
And I'm your co-host, Ashley. And this is The Bud Brunch, where we do it for the culture.
For the community.
For the conversation.
Until next time.
Bye.
I'm Katie, and we're talking motherhood and sensuality on The Grown Woman's Guide to Cannabis with The Bud Brunch.
Now I now I